Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm finally going to do a tier list update. The last tier list update was when White was released, so like a few months ago. It was like early November, so yeah, definitely a long time passed since then and lots of things changed. You will already know the main differences between this new tier list and the previous one, but I will go over them again in this video. And before starting, I just wanted to quickly go over the recent changes that I made to the investment tab. Today, I updated all the tier list rankings for different levels of investment of every single unit, and I also added a brief explanation. I did this over multiple days. It was not a one-shot thing. It took a lot of time, which means there might be some inconsistencies here and there or some mistakes. If you find any, and if you see that there is something that it doesn't resonate with you, let me know in the comments or on my Discord server, and I will try to either provide more information if the value is actually correct, or I will change it if it was a mistake. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. And an additional thing I changed is I added the levels that you should take a subnode to. This information was present in the previous Revolution tab, but while migrating it to the investment tab, I removed it. People were a bit confused by the new format and didn't really like the fact that that information was lost, so I added it back. And yeah, that's all there is to it. If you see a number in brackets, that's the level of the subnode. If you see nothing, it just means 0 and you can ignore that. So yeah, that's all I changed. And now we can go back to the main topic, the visual tier list. Now here, before we had the distinction between up to Revolution 3 and up to Revolution 6. That's been removed entirely. Now every single unit is ranked at the nice to have level of investment that again you will see in the investment tab. And as you can see, every unit has this nice to have tier, and this is what's being represented in the visual tier list. The other main distinction is that now we have two sections, one below deficit 300 and one above it. So here you can see below 300 and here you see above 300. This number was decided a few months back before we got the archive buff. So people have been asking me to increase it a bit. They've been asking for like 350, 400. I think I will take it up to 350, so in the following days it will definitely be changed. I'm not that sure about taking it to 400 because not many people will have a great archive. So I want to keep it relatable, and I will put a number that is achievable by most people, I would say. So 350 I think makes more sense. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is just a number, this is just a threshold. It doesn't really change much because the archive just shifted everything by like 50 link levels. It didn't really change the positioning of any unit, I would say. So all the placements will remain the same. I will just change that number that indicates the threshold. And for those of you that don't know what the deficit is, because I've seen questions in the YouTube comments and also over to my Discord server, the deficit is just the difference between your carry link and the enemy links in Adventure. So if your carry link is 700 and you're facing an enemy that's at 1000, that's 300 deficit. As simple as that, nothing fancy. It's all it is. This doesn't apply before level 400 though, so the earliest 300 deficit would be your link being 400 and the enemy link being 700. Before the change is too quick in actual levels, let's say, after 400 it stabilizes a bit and becomes more linear, if we may. So that's when we switch from a number of times your combat power to actual link difference. So that's kind of the thing. An additional change I made is that now the irregular rank is open to SSR Plus units as well. This is something that you guys recommended, and I think it makes sense. There are some SSR Plus units that are clearly above the rest, so they've been moved to the irregular tier. And yeah, I would say that's pretty much all. We can go over now tier by tier to highlight the main changes and some quick things about the unit, and I will kind of go super quickly when we go to the lower tiers, let's say. Before starting, I wanted to mention one additional thing about the two different tables, the below 300 deficit and above 300 deficit. When you see a unit that retains the ranking without going down, it means that that unit, even if you further increase your rank, they will keep their value or very slowly decrease in value, but they will always kind of be relevant, let's say. If you see a unit that goes down like half a rank, let's say they had an arrow up and they lose it, or they didn't have any arrow up and they get an arrow down, or if from arrow down they go to arrow up of the tier below, that kind of thing, it means that they are slowly decreasing in value, but they will still be usable for the next, I don't know, 50, 75 deficit levels. So still okay, and their decline will not be as quick. If you see a unit that goes down a whole rank or more, then definitely those units will be trash after a while. If you start pushing too much, those units will just become irrelevant. That's kind of the logic I used when I made the variations between the two thresholds, let's say. So below 300 and above 300. And yeah, there is not much else that I wanted to mention. Now we can quickly go over the irregular tier first. We have 4 new entries now. Before, obviously, there was only Tromray. Now we have Eden, White, Albelda, and Anniversary Iwa. Every unit for different reasons, but I will start with Eden, obviously. This guy is one that doesn't really care about deficit. As long as he can hit the enemy and deal his max HP based damage, he will just destroy them. Because again, he has max HP damage. So it's just insane. It will scale very, very well with deficit. Doesn't matter, it will always stay relevant. So not much we can say. It won't have the insane damage numbers or maybe versatility as other DPSs. His AoE is also quite shit. Not to say that it doesn't really have any, to be honest. But yeah, single target, that guy is fucking nuts. White, on the other hand, doesn't have like max HP based damage, so sooner or later we might come to a point where he's not going to deal enough damage, but that would just mean a lot of units would just be dead at that point. But his damage is insanely high. He has good AoE, he has good survivability, good kind of mobility. So overall, he is a really strong pick, way above the other SSR Plus DPSs we have. Now, by the time of recording, Dawon and Anak are already out, so Spearbear Anak. I didn't include them in the tier list because it was a bit tricky to rank them at the moment. I'm still quite confused. I want to rank Dawon more or less at the same level as Bam, maybe a bit above. But at the same time, she's also probably stronger than, or not stronger, but like as strong as White. So it's also tricky for me not to place her in irregular. So I'm still thinking about it, still using her more and more to actually decide where I want to place her. But it like she's either going to go in S plus or up or irregular some way or another. So let me know also what you think about her in the comments, because she might be deserving it. But I would put her at the same level as a Bam actually. Bam has less damage but way more utility from my point of view. But whatever, we'll talk about Bam later when we go to S plus rank. So yeah, White definitely irregular right now. It might go down in the future, but for now is a really top DPS choice. Then we have Albelda. She's an absolute beast of a support. She just turns every DPS in a like a monster. Like they become totally different units when you link them to Albilda. Now that doesn't apply to every unit. Obviously, if they don't deal damage based on attack, it won't really matter if you link Albilda to them. Like linking Albilda to an Eden won't really change Eden that much. Actually, almost no changes at all. But yeah, definitely Albilda can turn most DPSs in just monsters and make some less viable DPSs actually really good. So amazing support, and she also boosts their survivability a lot. The thing is, she only boosts the survivability of the carry, but still insane value, great support, really amazing. Chomray, I would say no big surprise here. This guy will definitely stay in irregular. He's really strong, and not much to say here. Then we have Anniversary Eva as the new entry here as well. And she's really good as a support. She just improves the survivability of the whole team by like multiple levels. I was going to say by a level, but no, definitely having Anniversary Eva in a team and not changes a lot of stuff. It also enables DPS units to go for like damage builds instead of resistances in some scenarios. And the higher the deficit, the more relevant she is, because our Revolution 5 invincibility is really important, and you cannot rely even on resistances at super high deficits. So Anniversary is one of those kind of units that will just allow you to push harder and harder. So amazing unit, definitely deserves this ranking, even though she doesn't have the best of buffs to your DPSs in terms of damage, but her utility is just insane. For the S plus tier, we don't have many big changes, I would say, compared to the previous tier list. We still have Bam and Evan. I don't think there are many things to say here. We still have Yang in the S plus for the below 300 deficit. No big surprises. She has really good damage, insane crowd control, so amazing unit overall. We also have a new addition, Ice Spear Kunagero. This guy made it up to S plus from my point of view, and is really versatile. He has insane debuffs, super good utility, so it definitely deserves S plus. It also makes ranking the new Spear Bearer Anak a lot harder, because she basically has the same kit. They kind of work in different setting. They're both insane, and I should be giving Anak S plus as well. I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm kind of torn because their survivability at times have been disappointing, but again, it's mostly a team building issue or placing her against enemies that can actually kill her. So maybe wrong choices in terms of actual team building, let's say. Still, she has an insane kit, basically the same. So I would probably rank her S plus. But again, I haven't ranked neither her nor Dawn, so you'll have to wait a bit for that to be released. For now, let's just say that this guy, to me, definitely deserves S plus. For the purple element, we just have Karaka, amazing Rooper, not the best probably, but at this deficit I still believe he is one of the best ones. Kun Mashini, amazing DPS, cannot be really compared to someone like White, but still really top DPS nonetheless. Nare, many people are kind of surprised probably from this ranking, but Nare has so much in her kit that is just insane. We have to keep in mind that the higher the deficit, the more valuable defense shreds are. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm really positive in leaving this guy like Spear Kunagero in S+, because he has a really good defense shred, and Nare as well. Her defense shred is single target, but she also has resistance shred on top of it. She increases attack of your carry, she gives them energy, she gives the lowest HP unit in your team an invincibility and also a skill block. So she has lots of stuff in her kit. She's really amazing. I don't really see any downsides. I think maybe people, if they are in the lower stages and they try to use her, she will feel a bit lacking, maybe. She definitely shines with Revolution because the 200% attack buff is nuts, but still her base kit is really good. Keep in mind, just use her with special move users. That's all. Yura, probably the best support in the purple element. She just has lots of value for purple DPSs. She cannot really be used anywhere else unless you only want to rely on her like revive from the passive. Still, no surprises here. She was S plus already and she stays the same. So yeah, no big changes. For red, we have a lot of changes. Like a lot of units have been going down here. We don't have Evankel and Viol anymore. We only have Anak, which I'm also kind of thinking how to rank her. She is still staying here from my point of view because of how insane the teams you can build around her are. She's just providing so much energy. She's on a whole another level. She can just allow a DPS to spam special moves, which is insane for some of them. We have so many special move based units right now that their value is always going to be high. Even if her survivability is trash, and that is, like after you reach a certain deficit, she will die super quickly. So you have to build teams very like carefully to allow her to survive. You have to position her well, you have to give her the right teammates, you want her to stay alive because her utility is just so good. It's really insane. And for the other unit that is also a new entry here is Ejin. I gave him the S plus ranking because he has insane survivability, like base with all the evasion he has. And he also has quite good damage, but that damage alone wouldn't give him the S plus ranking. I would rank him S on his own and with a sort of subpar team. But if you link him to Albelda, this guy's damage skyrockets like crazy and he's actually at S plus level. So that's why he has a link. I think he definitely needs Albelda. Without Albelda, it would go to maybe S arrow up because he's still good. He's still above the other two options from my point of view. But just, I mean, not at S plus level without Albelda from my point of view. Let me also add the link to Evankel. I don't know why I didn't. But Evankel is also one of those units that rely on other teammates to properly work. So yeah, whatever. For the blue element, we have also here like a few changes. We don't have data machine here anymore because her damage is nice, but falls off super quickly. She will not kill anyone past a certain point. I would say past 200 to 30 deficit, she will not kill anyone. She will not carry. So she will stay in the like role of a stall tank and a bit of magic resistance shred. But that's really not that much. And I was even thinking of lowering her even further, maybe even to A+. I don't know. I would say she definitely falls off. Not much we can say here. Let me know if you agree or disagree because this might be a bit of a controversial topic, but I think it does. We also have a new entry. We have Bum, and this guy is straight up S plus arrow up. He doesn't have the burst damage that other DPS units have. He has a lot of overtime damage, but what's most important is his debuffs. He has insane defense shreds. It's just not even funny. He can turn enemies that would be tanky otherwise into just units that explode. Amazing value. He can counter a lot of units. He doesn't even care that much about like elemental disadvantage. He counters a lot of green units. Really, really solid pick. And he has insane survivability. You can go with full damage build without even relying on supports to keep him alive, and he will stay alive. He will stay in the fight for a long time. He has insane crowd control, really good unit. He's not irregular for like because he's lacking a bit of damage, but he's definitely up there. He's definitely one of the best DPSs we have right now. Then we have Garam, not quite on the same level as Albelda and Anniversary Iwa, but she has a niche in buffing special move based characters, and that's a really good one. She also has a defense red on her kit, an energy decrease, lots of good stuff, and she also buffs the allies' energy, allowing for more spamming. Overall, really solid support, increases durability, increases damage dealt, and also CCs the enemies, removing buffs from them and cleansing debuffs from your team. Really, really strong unit. Definitely S plus R up. The next unit that received a bit of a downgrade as compared to before is Kaiser. She's now still S plus, but I left her with a link now because she needs the unit to keep her alive. She's just too squishy nowadays. You cannot really rely on her resistance build anymore. You should go a damage build, and you need units to keep her alive. Namely, I would say our main teammates would be Anniversary Iwa. Now, personally, now that Dawon is out, I'm not using Kaiser anymore, but my deficit is not that high, so it doesn't really matter. But still, I'm finding it difficult for Kaiser to provide enough value. Her DPS is white level, but the thing is, it's single target. She deals insane amount of damage, single target, which is a bit disappointing. If the focus is not the right one, she will just waste a ton of DPS on a unit that doesn't matter and that's hard to kill, where when you would like her to kill somebody else. Tricky to use. You might find yourself swapping teams in Adventure to have her against dedicated teams. Most of the times, that's what I didn't really like about her. It took a lot of time out of my auto progress because at times she was just stuck on losing and I had to rearrange teams for her to actually win. So still, DPS is high, super crazy, I would say regular level DPS, but the reliance on the team to keep her alive is quite annoying, and also relying on certain enemy compositions. She really struggles in AoE scenarios, and she really struggles when she focuses on a unit that she cannot kill unless she kills somebody else. Let's say it like that. So, I don't know. Definitely she fell off and she might fall even further. Regardless, amazing unit early on to have, amazing carry, she's strong, but keep in mind, once you hit a certain deficit, her damage would still be able to keep up, but it's just trickier to build her, trickier to make a team for her, etc, etc. Then for green, we have nobody actually, because we moved up Anniversary Iwa and there's nobody that I feel like deserves S+. We could make the argument for Calavan. Still, the way his kit is built doesn't really make me like comfortable in putting him there. I would say for below 300, he could actually go there, to be honest. He has a bit of grouping and his durability is nice at this lower deficit. But at higher deficits, I cannot. So for now, he's staying here at S R up with a link to, well, Albelda. But yeah, that's kind of where he is. Actually, with Albelda, he would definitely be here, to be honest. So I could move him up. Let me know what you think. But definitely, if there is anyone that deserves it, at least in this below 300 range, would be Calavan. That's just my point of view. And yeah, you might have noticed one guy fell off quite heavily and another one fell off also. Like before we had regular Yuri and Ren in this tier, and one of them is S arrow down, the other one is A+. Unfortunately, they're not really insane units. I will say regular Yuri is the better one of the two, obviously, because she at least also has utility. She can group enemies with her provoke, and you can build her tanky. She will be fine. She won't be dealing damage, but her damage has been like surpassed by so many DPSs, is not really that relevant anymore. You would just use her to group enemies up. At this low of a deficit, you can still kill stuff with her, but I wouldn't rely on it. Let's say it like that. And Ren, unfortunately, His durability is starting to lack a bit, and his damage is definitely not keeping up. So that's just unfortunate. Amazing unit early on, but then just falls off too heavily. Now for the next tier we have S rank, and we have the new entry, Kronos Ayuri. She's here in S rank. I feel like she actually provides pretty good value, to be honest, compared to when she first came out. That I would say I found her a bit disappointing. Using her more and more, I think she's actually really solid, like the 20-second HP recovery block that she provides, and then all the following active skill block really come in handy. Unfortunately, she doesn't deal a lot of damage, like she cannot be used as a DPS or as an early nuke, whatever. She's just there to silence enemy on an AoE before they can cast their special moves, and just to block their HP recovery, and then you use somebody else to burst them down. Really good comps overall, so she's definitely nice. Like, she's not a bad unit. I didn't want to rank her at the same level as Kunagero because Kunagero can provide value throughout the whole fight. She's more valuable in the first 20, then she's kind of meh. We also have Wang Nanja with a link, and this link is to Irang because he really wants grouping. You could use units of a different element to group things up, but he also receives a lot of buffs from being with yellow teammates. So definitely Irang is the best choice. He's an SSR, so his damage will fall off at a certain point, and it's like he's already like starting to struggle a 300 deficit, but can still work. So yeah, he's definitely a solid SSR choice for DPS. Then for purple, we have some changes. So obviously Nare went up. Not many things to say here. We have Anna that moved up from A to S because she's really good at grouping enemies at the start of the battle. The bunny positions himself in a really good spot, and oftentimes all enemies group up around it. And then you can pair her up with a unit like Kunagero or someone with a AoE crowd control, and they will just stay there and be stunned, and you can just bombard them with stuff. So she's really, really good. The bunny is also quite tanky, and it also applies silence every now and then, which is not bad, and the focus is always on the highest attack unit. She also has an AoE jolt and some other things. Like, she doesn't provide too much utility, but the grouping alone and the fact that you can have her as a tank in any kind of team is really, really valuable. So really good. And you can also pair her up with Reflejo that also has an AoE crowd control. They work really well together. So yeah, definitely really good unit, way better than I initially thought. So yeah, amazing. Then we have Kunagero, not big changes here. He's still the old Kunagero. AoE defense red, which is again extremely valuable. Crowd control and attack buff for purple. So all in all, is a really solid unit. Reflejo is really tanky, like he's one of the tankiest units in the entire game, regardless of the deficit, because of the damage cap that it can receive. He also has some nice utility, nothing out of this world, but he has energy steal, he has resistance steal, he also has some nice crowd control, so overall, solid unit. Varagarv has HP recovery block, which used to be a lot rarer. Now we already have Ice Spear Kunagero and also Spear Bearer Anak. So more and more units are getting released with that. Also Kronos Ayuri and some others. So I would say less and less relevant, kind of, but still is really good. He has a nice kit and it can be used. It is better used as not the only tank, or, well, you can use him as the only tank if you have somebody else to group enemies up. So like Anna again, Anna will group them up. Vargar will go there, use his special move and block all HP recovery. So overall, pretty solid. Vivi is one of the few SSR DPSs that can still deal damage, so she's definitely nice. She also has HP recovery block, but it's mainly single target. Then we have, for the red element, some changes, like a Craptor have been moved down like crazy, was in S rank before, now is in A. And we have a new entry. We have Alice here. She's good. Like, she's not insane, but she has max HP damage. The unfortunate thing is that one of her active skill just holds her in place for 3 seconds, which is nuts. Lots of time wasted. Still, her damage is nice, her focus is also good, and paired with some units, she can get rid of some annoying targets quite early on into the fight, and she can act as the solo DPS if you're really ever heavily invested. She's not insane, but definitely viable. And also in her case, deficit won't matter as much because, like Eden, again, she has max HP based damage. So, pretty good. Evankel will go lower the higher the deficit. She relies a lot on other units to survive. That's why she has a link. So you should use units like Mamanak or maybe Anniversariva for survivability, or somebody else. Someone that can keep her alive between special moves and someone that can give her a lot of energy. Without those conditions, she's just useless. And even if you can do that, her damage is not comparable to the other DPSs. She's an old SSR plus and you can feel it, so not much we can say here. Jinsung has many Rayana units kind of lost their purpose the higher you go in deficit, because you cannot kill enemies in one hit anymore, so you have to rely on the actual fight. He is still quite okay because he has an insane special move, and you can rely on other units to have him spam that. And Alocasia also works quite well on him at this point if you rely on his special move based playstyle. So overall, okay, but is also going to lose more and more value the higher the deficit. Awakened Rock, to be honest, I'd rank him lower actually. I will think about it, I might rank him lower. He's just there to survive, he has a provoke. He doesn't really have insane debuffs, he's kind of meh in terms of debuffs, which is why I kind of want to move him down. But he's solid, he can tank, is nothing fancy, but he can stay here for now, we'll see. For blue, not many changes. Well, we have the new entry that I'm actually going to move down from S+. And again, as I mentioned, she could go even lower. I moved down Quieter 2 because SSR DPSs, except for Wangnang and Vivi, really cannot keep up with the SSR plus DPSs. So yeah, I moved Quieter down. And the other units are pretty much the same. We still have Escanor, Blanc, Leroro, and Novik. Novik will definitely go down at higher deficit quite a bit because this guy just explodes. He's not too low because you only really use him with Kaiser as a buffer for her. And when you play Kaiser, you kind of want to play Anniversariwa, so this guy would also have his survivability boosted. Still, I'm not using a link on a support, so this guy will go down at higher deficits, but yeah. If he could stay alive, he would have insane value, but unfortunately it's just too squishy. Now for green, we also don't have many changes. We have Calavan that actually moved up from A+ to S and could actually move even higher because he is actually solid. I didn't like the way his stacks work because he loses he loses them way too quickly, the higher your deficit, and his damage relies on those stacks to actually be impactful. So it was kind of a weird unit. But with all the archive buffs that give you additional defense, and after investing in defense in his revolution, he definitely can tank well and keep the stacks. So he's a solid unit. He could move up if you link him with Abelda, actually. So I'm still thinking about it. For now, he's staying here, but definitely the most valuable unit in green, which is kind of sad. Green is not really in a great spot except for these two units. But yeah. Then we have Tankin Dorsey, still fine, a lower deficit, but she will definitely go down. She has more or less the same issue as Novik. She cannot really reliably stay alive. And yeah, that's more or less it. Regular Dororo, even worse, like his durability is just trash. If you could keep him alive, there are some units that would benefit like crazy from him, like for example a Kunmashini, but he's just not surviving. I don't know, like there is not much we can do here. Unfortunately, he's held back too much by how squishy he is. I already talked about regular Yuri, so not much we can say. Now for A+, for yellow, we just have Kun Asensio. He survives, but it's not like he's doing anything important for the team. And even then, you need to chain special moves, otherwise he explodes. Tank Hats also doesn't really provide much. He at least has a defense shred, which is good, but his survivability is also quite lacking. The enemy one is invincible, but your own kinda sucks. We have Gustang that actually moved down from, I believe it was S plus or something actually. It moved down to A plus. The reason being, he's an amazing support, like in terms of actual buffing that he can do. Like he has really good attack buffs, really good swiftness buff. He removes the debuffs from your team. Really good overall. You can also deal some nice damage with him. But I don't know, like I would never replace a Kunagero with him. I would never replace an Array with him. I would never replace a Yura with him. So yeah, there is no place for him in purple. To be fair, I'm using him also currently with Tromray. They work fine. Obviously, Tromray is buffing his bots, and with his Revolution unlocked, his bots will have 100% of his stats. So they're really tanky and they deal a lot of damage. So yes, can be used. Is he important enough to be S from my point of view? No. That's why he's here. But definitely if you tell me for you is S rank, no problem with that. I would agree. If you tell me that for you is S plus, then maybe I would kind of disagree, but still solid, not exceptional. To me, it doesn't have anything that makes me say, oh, I wish I could play Gusting in this team. Like, to me, it's just there as a filler. I don't know. Now, for the red element, we have the new entry 003. She's insane to buff Alice. Without her, Alice would be shit, actually. Like, I feel like red has so many links that is insane. Let me add it, because it's really needed. So yeah, Alice definitely needs 003. She's amazing to buff single target DPS units. At the moment, we only have one of them in the red element. Maybe we could consider Viol as one. She could even buff AoE damage dealers in the sense that the last remaining unit or one of the enemies will have decreased stats, resistances, whatever, which would be good for also AoE based units to nuke down one single target. But again, is mostly working for single target DPSs such as Alice. So yeah, maybe Jinsung, maybe. But yeah, definitely really good support. The thing is, she's only for red. She cannot support any other element, so kind of restrictive, but really good. Then we have the two Waryons. I downgraded them because I don't feel like there is a real spot for them anymore. Like, Waryon, the support one, has a good swiftness buff, but so what? She has a good attack buff, but kind of lacking crit rate and attack increase against the enemy with the highest attack. Yeah, okay. Yes, I mean, they have good stuff, but they feel lacking somehow. I don't really see a scenario where I would use them that frequently. They just provide stuff that might be irrelevant. Like, crit rate is great, but most units already have solutions to that. So to me, she's still staying here. If Rayana units could actually kill, then she'd be a lot higher, because to me, her main value was the energy provided on kill of the highest attack enemy. But now that units like Jinsung cannot kill that unit reliably, or actually cannot kill them, her value dropped like crazy. So for me, A plus is more than fair. She's still usable. She still provides lots of stuff, but not enough, I'd say. Red Mask Warrior, she has insane crowd control, really good silence as well, and she provides the physical pierce. Is she good and insane? No. She can be used, yes. But again, I don't really see a scenario where I would actually say I want to use this unit. Still, as you can see, they are in the top of the SSR units because all of these are SSR plus. This is SSR plus. This is the only other SSR, but Princess Anaki is on a whole other level, I'd say. All of these are good. Xia is also good. An attack buffer gives some energy and a bit of healing. Nothing insane, but okay. Yellowy, insane for certain units that she provides crit rate, crit damage, and attack speed for the whole fight, unless you're against a debuff remover, in which case she provides nothing, but okay. So they're all good units. It just depends on the situation and the team, etc. So not really too frequently used. Maybe Red Mask Warrior could gain some more value with Family Head Custom, but we don't know. For blue, Ulrich is the guy that I put at A+. It could deserve an higher ranking. Actually, I was thinking of swapping Data Machine and him because his survivability is fine with the Revolution investment. He gets a lot of defense. He can survive okay, and he provides the swiftness decrease on the enemies and also the buff removal, which is quite valuable. Still, swapping them still doesn't feel that good. I might probably lower Data Machine and leave them both at A+. Kind of depends, but you get the idea. Is fine, but is not the Urek we would all want to see. So yeah. For green, we have Child and Dorsey, really good at stopping enemy from casting special moves. We have Ren, that is kind of, again, being a lot weaker than before. He doesn't deal a lot of damage. His survivability is a lot lower. Yeah, well, not the greatest units anymore. We have Zahard. He breaks barriers and survives a bit. That's it. Okay, but nothing too important. Its zero dupe Strom Ray will be better than him most of the times, I'd say. Then we have Lozel, attack buffer, debuff remover, and that's more or less it. Still quite a good unit. For the units in A rank and below, there is not much to mention. I will just quickly mention 002 because he's a new one. He has crit damage increase on your front row as long as he's alive. That's a bit of the catch. And then he also has Jolt on an AoE on the special move and a physical resistance decrease. That's all he offers pretty much, which is a bit sad actually. But could be handy at times, which is why I put him in A. Still not the best of values. Everyone else here is pretty much the same as usual. Shibisu could go up a bit. Is not really surviving that well, even with Revolution 5, but is acceptable enough, I would say. So definitely could deserve a raise in rank. But yeah, for everything else, there is not much to mention. Now, since the video is already quite long, let me go over the plus 300 deficit just to go over a few changes. So as we can see here, your rank goes down a bit and she goes to S arrow up. To be honest, if you were to link her with Albelda, which is probably one of her best teammates, she would definitely be S+, probably even arrow up. No, okay, just S+. But really, really good combo there. I just decided to leave her in S without the link because she's still fine alone, but definitely gets a huge boost from Albelda, so keep that in mind. Then other things that really changed, we can see that we removed a few RAPs, so Bam lost it, even though I should have left it, to be honest. Kun Mashini also lost it. For her is definitely reasonable because the higher the deficit, the lower DPS she will deal. So this just to tell you that she will lose value over time and as your deficit increases. Bam, to be honest, loses DPS but doesn't lose value. Like, he still has that insane defense rate, which is extremely valuable. So I could leave him the arrow up, to be honest. Ijin gets an arrow down. I think it makes sense. It was already on the verge of going down in rank. Still, with Albilda, I would say it keeps the S plus ranking. And, well, for green, we didn't have anyone here and we still don't. This guy lost the arrow up and he's still S. He's fine, but again, it will lose value the higher the deficit. We have a decrease in rank for Karaka and also Vivi. Vivi went down to A+. Kronos, Ayuri, and Wangnang went both down from S to A+. Definitely they will lose out a bit the higher the deficit. And this unit will at times die before she can cast the first special move at higher deficit. Unless, well, you can always place her better, etc., but it gets a bit trickier. You have to pay more attention. And after the special move, she might die too quickly, so also the active skill block would be lost, so her value definitely drops. But yeah, still really good unit. Other major things, we have an upgrade of Blarode. This is a bit controversial. I didn't plan on having upgrades with higher deficits, but it's just to highlight the fact that some units get some use cases that are better used at higher deficits. And those units are units like Blarode and Miseng. I also increased Miseng rank because they have an energy steal very early on in the fight, which could be the difference from winning a fight and losing it. So you might want to hook an enemy high anniversary Iwa with Blarode to prevent her from casting the first special move too quickly. So that's a good use case for him and a really good option. Same with Miseng. If you have an enemy in the front line that you want to lower their energy, you can just use Miseng and it will lose their initial energy, which is pretty nice. Those use cases, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them at lower deficit. You don't need to use them. You could still do that, but it's not necessary and not that important. But at higher deficit, those kind of gimmicks become more relevant. That's kind of the idea that I wanted to give by raising the ranking. Obviously, you will see most units move down a rank. Some others maintain the same ones. For example, Datamashini would actually be deserving a decrease in rank, but due to the fact that her survivability doesn't really change and her damage was already low before, I don't think higher deficit really impact her that much. She would still survive and stay there. Damage is not an option at this point, but it wasn't before either, so yeah. Escanor kind of dies super quickly actually, so I could lower his rank, but most of his utility comes from running Ryana and silencing on an AoE, so that's kind of the idea. These two retain the same ranking. Viol got an arrow down, could go even lower, but I don't know, with Albilda paired up, is still quite good. Evankel and Jinsung, they just go down. Let me just give back the link to both Alice and Evankel that I gave in the previous one. And regular Yuri damage is just almost irrelevant at this point, but she can still be used as a grouper. These units go down because like their survivability of regular Loro just sucks. And I actually moved from S to A, arrow down, Tank and Dorsey. I'm just that disappointed in how tanky she is. Like, she dies too quickly. I don't really get it. And yeah, Sensio and Tank Hats also moved down. To be honest, this guy should be on the same level as them, so I will probably move him up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Everyone else, well, SSR DPSs are just not even that usable anymore. They kind of fall down too hard. So yeah, that's kind of the tier list. I don't know if you have any questions, guys. But yeah, as you can see, most of them lost some positions. Other ones retained them, like Mamanak, Yura, Nare, I always kind of forget her name, Bam Evan, and Ice Spear Kun, they all retain the same ranking. Albelda, obviously, absolutely insane. Anniversariwa, White, and Eden, they all kept their ranking. Garam as well, S Plus are up as well. So yeah, most supports retain the rankings actually, except if they were based on survivability, in which case they went down a bit. But the ones that are ranged and can survive just fine and still provide value, they remained at the same ranking. DPSs, unless they can really keep up and deal a shit ton of damage, they went down overall. And tanks as well. So that's kind of the idea. There's not much else to mention. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. This was just an overview. And yeah, I will definitely do an additional update and maybe fill in with some additional information if you have any questions in like 1 or 2 weeks with the rankings for Spearbearer, Anak, Dawn, and maybe even Gustang already, I'd say. So that's kind of the plan. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. It took a bit for me to do all of these updates, so I hope it was well worth it and well received. Let me know if you have any issues with any of the content I'm releasing. I'm always trying to improve and make it so it's valuable for all of you guys. And yeah, that's more or less it. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.